Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Abandoned by Everyone and Fall in Zombie Apocalypse Movie 1. Before we start, please go support Dios Primordial for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. After finishing off the Kaos Brigade, the supernatural believed that there were no more threats, but what was expected was what was considered a plan for revenge. Rizevin knew that all the facts depend heavily on humans, so why not eliminate them with something they had never faced? Now the only thing Issei Hyoudou has to do is survive. Chapter 1. It was a quiet day in the city of Kwa. The Kaos Brigade had been defeated, although at the moment in the underworld a great celebration is taking place. In the human world, a certain brown-haired boy was seen on the roof of the academy thinking, since he entered the supernatural, his life and that of his sister changed enormously. Despite not having a sacred gear, he was good with magic and in the use of firearms, but for the vast majority of the supernatural world it was not a big deal. But even so, he had the support of the angels, his sister, Yasaka, and her daughter Kanu, a Valkyrie named Rosweiss, his childhood friend Irina, his partner Zenobia, the Penemu cadre, the dragon goddess Ophis together with her clone Lilith, the heiress of the Astaroth clan Latia, the mouse Seraphil, and the magician Lavinia. He only had their friendship, but in his eyes something strange was seen, but he did not know what it was, so it was not good to give it turns in his head. Issei, but what is happening? The brown-haired boy was looking towards the entrance from the roof of the academy when he saw what appeared to be a mentally ill man at the entrance trying to enter the school. Then he saw the janitor and the guard go to see what was happening. What the brown-haired boy could see was how that homeless man attacked the guard. Then he saw how the janitor carried the guard to the academy. That surprised the brown-haired boy a lot, so he went to the shed on the roof. Inside there he made a wooden box appear by means of a magic circle. When he opened it he saw several firearms and a tactical suit. There was an AR-15, an M4 tactical shotgun, an AK-47, a Glock 17, along with a combat knife, and an iron bat. Issei, well, this will be enough to get out of here. Let's see if this suit still fits me. Issei, great, now I have to get out of here before this gets out of control. But then the speaker goes off. Principal, attention students, an emergency has occurred, so please evacuate in a calm and orderly manner. Then you hear something breaking the door, and the director panics. Director, and oh, get away from me, don't touch me, help. All I could hear was someone chewing something. It didn't take long for all the students to panic and start running in a disorderly manner to get out of the place. Issei, well, I'm going to the underworld to report what's happening. At that the brown-haired boy tried to make a magic circle to leave, but instantly it disappeared. That made him strange, so he tried to make another one, but with the same result. He tried to make more magic circles that would take him anywhere, even to his house, but none of them worked. Issei, damn, I'll have to go home to get my other weapons on foot. The brown-haired boy waited for things to calm down a bit down there to leave in a calm manner. About 30 minutes passed when everything was silent, so with bat in hand and weapons loaded and ready to shoot he began to walk towards the exit of that place. When he reached the first hallway he saw what happened to the students. It seemed that they were infected with that thing and now they looked like the living dead. Issei, this has to be a bucking joke. Looking better he noticed that there weren't that many, more exact about 15 infected, so taking a breath he began to run down the hallway hitting the infected that crossed his path. The brunette could feel the adrenaline rising through his veins and the sweat beginning to appear on his forehead, but he couldn't dry it. Luckily he found a fire extinguisher near the exit, so he used it to create a smoke screen and take advantage of it to lose them and get out of the place. As he went out he could see all the mess there was, so he sighed again and started running again, only this time he opened fire. First it was with the AR-15, although he had to change the magazine to give it more capacity, although it didn't fire in automatic mode, but rather in bursts. The noise clearly caught the attention of the infected who were nearby, as well as the few survivors, but the brown-haired boy didn't stop. When he ran out of bullets in his magazine he changed weapons. Now he used the AK-47. Which turned out to be for the best. The AR-15 doesn't have the ability to pierce a person, but the AK-47 could. Issei, Well, I'm halfway there and I haven't used that much love. Looking down the street, he saw the corpse of a policeman, but what caught his attention was his weapon. What a surprise when he saw what weapon he had. Issei, Sate, well, thank you for the weapon. The brown-haired boy summarized his walk. It only took him a few minutes as he used the bat and the combat knife to avoid making noise and so the infected would know his location. When he entered his house, he secured the entrance by placing a few pieces of furniture. Fortunately, the windows in his house are bulletproof, so he won't have to worry so much. Then he went to his room. He had to leave a farewell message. Underworld. Meeting room. In that place were the leaders together with the Gremory, Citri, Bale, Phoenix, Valeri's team, Black Dog's team. Everyone was talking about how the rank promotion party would be held when a certain brunette's necklace began to shine. Irina, what's wrong, Izami? Izami, I don't know, it seems to be a message from my brother. Rias, what does that useless guy want? Izami, more respect for my brother or I will teach you to respect him. Before a discussion could start, a hologram of Issei appeared. What surprised them was the fact that his clothes were stained with blood and he looked somewhat tired. Issei, this is an emergency message. A disaster has occurred in the human world. Everything seems like a zombie horror movie. Plus there is the fact that there is something that prevents the use of magic circles for transportation. Apparently this is what Rizevin meant when he said that he would end the sustenance of the supernatural. Since although they do not accept it, they depend a lot on humans and are now in danger of extinction. Izami, I do not know if you are with someone, but please tell the leaders this information. Also tell the others not to look for me since I will be in constant movement so as not to be detected by those monsters. Also so that they do not put themselves in danger since even I had complications to leave the academy. So this is a see you soon since I know that we will meet again. Tell Mom and Dad that I love them. Goodbye. At the end of the message, everyone in the room was surprised. They knew that the brown-haired boy would not make a joke of that type. Therefore everything was true, and that Izami, Irina, Lavinia and Gabriel tried to create a magic circle to be able to go with Issei, which does not work, which makes them fall into despair. Izami, no please it works. Irina, please sir, give me your guide so I can go with him. Gabriel, Father please allow me to accompany him. Lavinia, you saved me once, now it's my turn to help you. But nothing worked. Before they got more desperate, they were calmed down with a hug. Eubelina hugged Izami, Zenobia hugged Irina, Michael hugged his sister, and Zizako calmed Lavinia. Eubelina, it's going to be okay. Izami, how do you know? Eubelina, because it's your brother we're talking about, he'll know what to do. Irina, did I really believe it? Razor, of course, he likes to do things alone, without forgetting that he is very smart and a good strategist. The room was silent. The only thing they did was agree to increase security and find a way to go to the human world to get Issei out of that place. Hyoudou resistance. The brown-haired boy was watching the news to find out how things were, and it seemed that they blocked the roads so that no one could enter or leave. And this was not only happening in Japan. In the most important and populated countries the same thing also happened to him. To which he turned off the television and began to look at a map he had of the city, thinking of a way to leave the city and go to a not very populated place to take refuge for a while. Issei, let's see, going by road is out of the question, so I'll have to go through the forest. There is a dirt road that I could use. The problem will be crossing that part of the city since I don't think it will be possible to go with a vehicle since there must be many abandoned vehicles that will block the way, so I'll have to go on foot. I'll leave early tomorrow since it won't be long before it gets dark. After planning that, he started loading his magazines and maintaining his weapons. After having his weapons ready, he went to the garage to load some things into his vehicle. He may not be able to use it in the city, but he can in the countryside. Issei, I'll finally be able to use my car. At that, the brown-haired man began to bring up all the supplies he could, not counting that he placed all the weapons he had. It took him 1 hour to arrange everything, and when he looked out the window he noticed that it was getting dark, so he went to his room since he had a balcony that gave him a good view of the perimeter. So he took a recorder to document everything that would happen. Issei, Day 1, the world seems to have gone to shit. It seems someone or something spread something that turned people into bloodthirsty monsters. Everything learned in movies and video games seems to be effective. for the moment I am alone, and there is nothing that represents a threat to me. I plan to leave the city to be calmer. I will report what I can tomorrow." End of recording. After finishing the recording, the brown-haired boy watched as the sun set in the distance, thus ending a very disastrous day. Chapter 2. It was already a new day, in the Hyoudou residence, and a certain brown-haired boy was already ready to leave his home. He had already placed his vehicle in his pocket dimension, so without further ado he began to walk to leave the city. On his way he saw a whole mess, puddles and traces of blood everywhere. Fortunately he had no complications when walking, only the occasional infected person that he eliminated with his bat or knife. When he reached a park he had to stop before passing by there. "Issei, let's see, it's faster through the park. If I go around the route it's probably blocked. The problem is that it's a very open area and they could detect me. What do I do?" Taking another look at the area I noticed that there was a car. If I threw something at it that would make a little noise it would get its attention. "Issei, I think I have something that might help." He then begins to search his pockets where he finds some stainless steel pellets that will be very helpful. Issei, perfect. He then throws a pellet that hits one of the car windows. What he didn't expect was that it had an alarm which started to sound, that attracted the attention of the other infected people, and unfortunately they also detected it. Issei, crap. He then begins to run through the park, this time using his firearms. This only attracted many more infected who began to follow him. Apparently they cannot run very fast, so he had the possibility of losing them. "Help." After hearing that scream he went in that direction. When he arrived he saw a blue-haired girl with pigtails who was being surrounded by many infected. "Issei, is she?" The brown-haired boy went in that direction using the bat to get them out of the way. "Issei, let's go quickly." At that the brown-haired boy took the blue-haired girl by the hand and they began to run. Then they entered an alley, and hid using some cans and garbage bags that helped them lose the horde. "Issei, looks like we lost them." "Miku, thanks for saving me." "Issei, you're welcome. Aren't you the idol Hatsune Miku by any chance?" "Miku, yes I am, it's a pleasure." "Issei Hyoudou." "Miku, well Issei Hyoudou, tell me where are you going?" "Issei, I'm going to the outskirts of the city since it's not safe to be in this place." "Miku, can I accompany you? I don't have anyone to help me and I'm very afraid of being alone." "Issei, sure, let's go before they detect us." So the two young men began to walk stealthily towards the outskirts of the city, without having any complications. Underworld. Gremry territory. In the Gremry family mansion, the leaders of the factions were discussing what could have started this whole disaster. Not to mention that the gods related to death were not very happy, since all this caused the natural cycle of life and death to be altered. But in a room were the girls who felt something for a certain brown-haired boy who must be going through hell without knowing how it is happening to him. But a certain silver-haired maid opened the door to the room. "Graphia, excuse my intrusion, ladies, but could you please accompany me?" "Zenobia, what's wrong?" "Graphia, apparently they discovered a way to see what Issei-sama is doing." The girls, after hearing that, went to the meeting room to see if it was true. Upon entering the place, they saw Odin, Zeus, and Michael concentrating magic in a large magic circle. Then a certain blonde with blue tips approached them. "Latia, hello girls." "Izami, hello Latia-san." "Latia, they think he's fine." "Irina, of course, we're talking about Issei-kun, he's strong." "Zenobia, not for nothing will he be the father of my children." The other girls stared seriously at the blue-haired girl with the green lock. "Zenobia, what?" "Irina, why did you say that?" At that the blue-haired girl begins to blush and play with her fingers. "Zenobia, well, I admit that I like him and I would like to be one of his partners. Besides, you are not fooling me. I know that you have feelings for him and I wouldn't mind sharing it, as long as you don't play with his feelings, because if you do, I won't hesitate to shave you with my sword." With that said, the girls who have romantic feelings towards Issei blushed a lot, but they didn't deny anything, and before anyone could say anything a magic circle appeared from which Yasaka and her teenage daughter came out. "Surzex, how did Yasaka Dano do?" "Yasaka, I couldn't return to my faction to find out how my people are. I can only wait and pray that they are okay." Kunu, I hope Issei passes through that place and knows what happened to our people. Azazel, well, don't be depressed, now we'll know how the boy is doing. The two blondes nodded and took their places and paid attention to what they would see, and that the magic circle began to shine. After that they showed a hologram of Issei and his surroundings, but they were surprised to see that he no longer came alone. Back with Issei, the brown-haired boy and the blue-haired girl were walking down a street that was empty. Miku, it's good that there are no infected around. Issei, no, this is bad, very bad. Miku, why do you say that? Issei, the infected are like piranhas, understand? Miku, yes, I understand, but what does that have to do with it? Issei, to put it simply, if you enter a lake full of piranhas and you don't get attacked, that means there's a shark nearby. Tum. Miku, what was that? Issei, I don't know. Thump. Issei, but it can't be a good thing. The young men then began to speed up so as not to encounter that thing. Only that thing found them. They saw a car fly away behind them, and when they saw who had thrown it, they were in for a big surprise. It couldn't be a human, and if it was, how did it get so big? Miku, what is that thing? Issei, I don't know, just run. Both begin to run but were followed by the infected mutant, in which the brown-haired man begins to shoot him with his AK-47 where he unloaded the entire magazine, but even so that infected man only seemed more annoyed. Issei, damn, I threw a whole magazine at him, and he didn't fall. Miku, Issei, look ahead. The brown-haired boy turned to look, noticing how about 10 infected were approaching from in front, so he reloaded his weapon and shot at them, hitting them, but they were still being chased. Issei, shit, I need something heavy to kill that thing, but with the noise we already made it's likely that a horde is nearby. Seeing that he had no other options, he decided to use his magic to get out of this situation. Issei, Miku, I promise I'll tell you everything when we're somewhere safe. Before the blue-haired girl could ask anything, she saw how the brown-haired boy made a glowing circle appear from which he took out a larger weapon. Issei, let's see if this is your size. The brown-haired boy began to shoot his M60 mercilessly. The infected man did not resist much and fell to the ground defeated. Without wasting time, the brown-haired boy made his vehicle appear and with some haste he put Miku in. Issei, let's go quickly, we just made a lot of noise and it's possible that a horde is approaching. When the brown-haired boy was about to get into his vehicle, he felt something on his leg. Seeing that it was a cat, he grabbed it and got in with him. When he started the engine, they saw a horde coming out through the other streets, so stepping on the accelerator they quickly left the place. In the underworld, those who saw this were surprised and some were afraid. Irina, what was that thing? Latia, I don't know, but it seems to be some kind of mutation. Zenobia, how is that possible? It's only been a day, so it's impossible for that kind of thing to appear. Yasaka, unless… Kunu, what's wrong, mother? Yasaka, Issei said that this is a plan to eliminate humanity, so that to happen there are those things to speed up the process. Gabriel, then? Yasaka, there may be more things like that with different characteristics. Ravel, not to mention that most humans are not prepared to face them. Izami, my brother had to use his M60 to kill that thing, although I hated to admit it, but many people will die and the worst thing is that we can't do anything to help them. In that they looked towards the hologram, seeing how Issei drove at high speed. Where they finally arrived at the forest, there they went a little further in a vehicle, then they went on foot to avoid being followed and to find a good place to rest a little. Chapter 3. A few hours had passed since Issei and Miki gathered the cat and left the city. Now they were eating something. Fortunately, the brown-haired boy had enough supplies, enough for 6 people for 2 years. But they couldn't give that to the cat, although Mika had a few cans of prickly pear in her backpack, which was what she was eating. The brown-haired boy had already explained to the blue-haired girl everything related to the supernatural, and how all of this could be a plan for revenge. Miku, I understand all that, but why do you think this is a revenge plan from that crazy demon? Issei, when we found his base and we were collecting all the information he had, among all those things we found a recording of him explaining that since he couldn't conquer all the factions he would be in charge of ending the livelihood of the factions. Miku, And what is that support? Issei, humans, since with angels, this would affect the system of prayer and miracles, the fallen angels, with their respective businesses with which they finance their things. With demons it is more complicated. Since due to their low birth rate and that several of their own died in wars, they depend on humans to use the reincarnation system to increase their numbers. With the gods they will possibly lose much of their power. Since even though we are in the 21st century there are still people who believe in them, and that gives them a certain power that they will lose the more people die. The blue-haired girl was surprised. This was very serious. If it wasn't stopped this would be the end of many races. Miku, we have to stop this. Issei, sorry. Miku, I say we must stop this, since many people are in danger. We already saw that very dangerous infected people will appear like the one we saw. That's why we must stop this. Issei, we can't. Miku, what? Why not? Issei, to begin with, we don't know where the epidemic originated, or where the place where this originated is. That place could be in the middle of a very high mountain, hidden in a seedy cliff, in the largest city in the world, camouflaged in the worst desert, or even in the depths of the deepest sea. Plus, we don't have the necessary equipment to enter that place. All we can do is survive and wait for those things to die over time. The blue-haired girl lowered her head in resignation. She had been excited when she heard about the adventures and exploits that the brown-haired boy had been a part of, and she believed that they could solve this problem. Issei, all we can do is survive and nothing else. I don't think they will rescue us or give us help. We are alone, and we have to be careful with the people who cross our path since they could be dangerous, or they could be hiding something and leave us in a bad situation. The blue-haired girl agreed again. The brown-haired boy was very serious, and it was clear that he didn't want to take any risks. When they were getting ready to continue walking, the cat began to approach some bushes with caution. When he saw it, the brown-haired boy with a gun in his hand went to check what was there. What he found was not what he expected. A girl, but not just any girl. Because of her pointed ears they deduced that she was an elf, although the question is, how did she get to this place? Miku, hey Issei, is she really an elf? Issei, it seems so, although I don't know how it got to this place since you can't get out of here and I'm sure you can't get in either. Miku, and what will we do now? The brown-haired boy made his vehicle appear and carefully lifted the girl off the ground. The blue-haired girl understood what he wanted to do, so she opened the back door, and they laid the elf down and placed a blanket on her since her clothes they were very revealing, and she felt somewhat uncomfortable. Miku, well, where are we going now? Issei, we will go north, to the mountains. The weather there is quite cold. I am sure there will not be many infected, and if there are I do not think they will survive for long. Miku, good idea. In case we can't go to that place we could go to the sea since I don't think those things can swim, but with effort they can walk quickly. Issei, interesting, we could do that, but as a last resort. So they began their journey to survive that hell, not knowing what awaits them. Underworld, Gremry territory. Those who saw Issei's adventure were surprised since they never expected to meet an elf, and even more so knowing who it was. Michael, I didn't expect Issei-kun to meet Queen Celestine. Izami, who is she? Surzex, Queen Celestine is the ruler of the elves, but her kingdom is not located in the human world. Azazel, here the question is, how did he get to that place? Yasaka, since it seems that he can't leave the human world, perhaps he used some kind of teleporter that allowed him to reach that place. Kanu, I wish we could do the same so we could help Issei. Ophis, I can help. At that they turned towards where the voice came from, noticing that it was Ophis and next to her was Lilith. Izami, how can you help us, Ophis? Ophis, I can open a dimensional breach that will allow you to go to the human world, although the only place I can send you is to your house and I can only send 2 people. Izami, I'll go, since in my room I have some weapons that Issei gave me and that I will use in case of emergency, not to mention that I also have my vehicle in the garage. Ophis, very well, now who else will go? Ravel was about to speak, but a voice behind her started her, and when she saw who it was, she was speechless. Roigan, now, I would like to go. That did take them by surprise, since they didn't expect that the one who was the second strongest in the gamer ratings would want to go to that place. Izami, are you sure you want to go? Once we're there, there's no turning back. Roigun, I'm sure, and you'll need my help so that it won't be difficult for you to find your brother. Ophis, okay, wait a bit while Lilith and I open the portal. While they waited for the portal to be ready, they continued to observe the brown-haired man and his companions. Miku, Issei, can I ask you a question? Issei, say it. Miku, have you ever had a girlfriend? That question did take him by surprise since he wasn't expecting it, but he put on a melancholic look, and without them realizing it, the elf had already woken up and was listening to the conversation. Issei, why do you ask? Miku, well, I once liked a boy, but he was already in a relationship with a girl and I was curious to know if you had a girlfriend. The chestnut sighed. He doesn't like to remember that subject and even more how things ended. Issei, yes, I had a girlfriend in high school. Her name was Angela. She was a very pretty girl. She was also very kind and always liked to smile, the opposite of me who is very serious. The brown-haired boy was reminded of his girlfriend, especially the last time he saw her. Miku, and what happened? Issei, one day when we were walking peacefully, a bastard who drove like a king drove over the sidewalk and ran us over. I was left on top of the hood, but she was left below. She didn't survive and the guy was arrested and given a sentence of many years. The blue-haired girl and the blonde who accompanied him were surprised. They didn't expect that the young man who saved them back then would go through something so tragic. But before they could speak, they heard the sound of a horn. When they looked back, they saw a car approaching at high speed. It didn't take long for him to overtake them and put his vehicle in front of them, cutting off their path. An overweight man got out of the car. In one hand he had a stick with nails and in the other a bottle with some kind of alcoholic beverage. You guys down there, that car is mine now. The two girls didn't know what to do, but the brunette had an annoyed expression, since the person responsible for his girlfriend's death was in front of him, and was acting like back then. Issei, don't come down, I'll take care of it. At that the brown-haired man opens the door. That guy thought he would have it, but he saw how that person begins to point a gun at him. Calm down, boy, if you don't want to give it to me, no problem. Issei, it seems that you haven't changed, right? I know you? At that point the brown-haired boy uncovered his face, which surprised the subject, and he began to get upset. So it's you. Issei, it seems that you haven't changed, right, but now things are different. Before anyone could say anything, something could be heard hitting the car door. The guy got nervous, while the brown-haired boy got serious and could be heard preparing his gun to shoot. Issei, Mika checks what made that noise. The blue-haired girl got out of the vehicle and approached the subject's car, who tried to stop her, but the brown-haired man put the gun to her forehead. When the blue-haired girl looked out, she got a big surprise. There was a girl tied up hand and foot, and with tape on her mouth. Immediately the blue-haired girl begins to free her from her bonds and takes her to Issei's vehicle. When they were already close, the back door was opened and both girls got in. The blonde elf gently hugged the albino, who began to cry as she was very scared. Issei, so you kidnapped a girl and were going to do indecent things to her, right? And what do you care about that? In this world there is no law anymore, so anyone can do whatever they want. Issei, if that's the case. After finishing shooting, the man was heard screaming in pain, while the brown-haired man put his gun away and went to check the guy's things. The only thing he found was beer, so he returned to his vehicle, leaving the guy lying on the ground. Hey, help me please, I don't want to die like this, please forgive me. Issei, don't worry, I didn't shoot you in vital points, although they won't care. Looking to the side, they saw a group of infected approaching slowly, but they could see that they were staring at the guy who was on the ground. Then they heard the start of an engine, and before the guy could say anything he had to cover his eyes because of the dust that rose when the brunette left. Hey, please don't leave me in this place, hey. But there was no response, so he watched in terror as those infected approached him. The last thing heard in that place were screams of pain. In the underworld, everyone was very surprised by the brown-haired boy's coldness, but when they found out why he did it, they didn't complain, since those kinds of people only cause trouble. Ophis, the breach is ready. With that, he took them out of their astonishment, so the brunette and pink-haired girl prepared to go to Issei's aid. Latia, wait, you're going to need this. The blonde magician approached both girls and gave them some kind of amulet. Izami, what is this, Lavinia-san? Lavinia, it's a protective amulet. I gave one to Ikun after he saved me. With it they will know how close they are to him and have no problems following his trail. Izami, thank you, Lavinia-san, this will be very helpful. After saying that, both girls crossed the gap to go to the real hell in order to save a certain brown-haired boy who made their hearts beat faster. Chapter 4. Driving calmly, Issei's group was in an awkward silence. Well, that's because not long ago they saw how the brown-haired boy injured a man who wanted to abuse an innocent girl. So to break the silence, the brown-haired boy decided to start a conversation. Issei, are you okay? Elizabeth, yes, thank you for saving me. Issei, you don't have to thank me. Miku, what's your name? Elizabeth, my name is Elizabeth Lion, nice to meet you. Miku, Mika Hatsune, my pleasure. Celestine, my name is Celestine, nice to meet you. Issei Hyoudou. After introducing themselves, they didn't know how to start a conversation. When the albino was about to speak, the radio started to play. Izami, this is Izami, you copy bro. Issei, Izami, what are you doing in this place? I thought you were in the underworld with the others, and I also told you not to follow me. Izami, you already know me, brother. Besides, I didn't come alone. I'm accompanied by someone who will be very helpful. Issei, who are you talking about? Roigun, hello Issei, do you remember me? Issei, Roigun, is that you? Roigun, who else could it be? We're at your house. Issei, what are you doing there? Izami, brother, remember that I also have firearms that you gave me a long time ago, not to mention that I also have my own vehicle for these types of situations. Issei, at least you know how to use those things since they're not toys. Izami, don't worry, I know how to use them. Roigun, where are you headed? Issei, towards the east, more exactly towards the sea to be in a safe area. Izami, we'll try to catch up with you. Issei, as soon as you find a good place to rest, come to my location with the tracker that Lavinia gave you. Izami, how do you know about tracking? Issei, because Lavinia is one of those people who likes to be prepared for any situation, so a tracker was waiting for me. Izami, okay, well, we'll start moving, over and out. He finished the transmission. The brunette looked in the rearview mirror and saw how the girls behind him had a face that said, I want answers. Issei, okay, now I'm going to explain some things to you, so pay attention. At the Hyoudou residence, a certain pair of girls got into a somewhat large vehicle. Roigun, where did you get this thing? Izami, Penemu-san gave it to me when I told him where Azazel-sensei, Odin-sama, and Zeus-sama were. Roigun, I understand, and your brother gave you that change of clothes, right? Izami, what can I say? I always wanted to use it, I just couldn't find the right time. Roigun, well, we'll keep talking later, we have a chestnut tree to reach. At that, the two of them put on some sunglasses and began to walk towards Issei. They had no problems with the cars that were on the road since they either moved them aside or passed over them. With Issei, the brown-haired boy had already told them everything he knew about the situation. He also spoke to Elizabeth about the supernatural so she would know what was necessary. Elizabeth, let me see if I understand. Everything that is happening is a revenge plan by a demon who wanted to dominate everything just to follow his nature. Issei, that's right. Elizabeth, wow. Celestine, although I think I know how they started with this. This surprised them a lot. They did not expect to have information about the origin of the epidemic so soon. Celestine, when I was still in my kingdom preparing for a war against the Dark Elves and some humans, a group of members of the Kaos Brigade attacked. There were many casualties, but that was not their purpose. Miku, so what were you looking for? Celestine, the crown of the dead king. Elizabeth, what is that? Celestine, an artifact that is capable of making the dead rise and spread a plague so that the living join their ranks. Only the person who will be on the throne knew that information, so I can't explain how they discovered it. Issei, tell me, at any point did you suffer an information theft? To which the elf began to think, trying to remember some similar event, until she remembered something that she didn't give any importance to at the time. Celestine, some documents were stolen from us once, but we thought they weren't important, since they didn't have the royal seal. Issei, surely someone infiltrated to copy that information, and when there was that attack they didn't get alarmed and asked for help from the other factions. Celestine, maybe you seem very smart. Issei, I don't just have to be muscles, I know that sometimes I have to use my head. Miku, speaking of heads, why are we going east now and not north? Issei, because I realize that if we stay in the country, possibly more guys like the one we met a moment ago will appear. Elizabeth, this isn't the first time you've encountered someone like that. Issei, no, in fact the first time something similar happened to me when I was with my girlfriend in a park, a lady, how do I say? Ugly is a compliment, she was hidden, her face was shiny with grease or whatever, her eyes half open, her lips cracked, her teeth were yellow and rotten, not to mention her breath, it smelled like a dead dog, her hair was all disheveled, you could even see that she had dandruff and her smile was really scary. Both the girls who accompanied him, and those who saw him had their faces between blue and green just imagining such a thing. Miku, and what did he want? Issei, she wanted me to be her boyfriend. In several places you could hear a "What?" Even that scared several infected people. Elizabeth, and what did you do? Issei, obviously I didn't accept, but things didn't stay there, since after a few minutes she arrived with 2 policemen saying that we are armed with machine guns, bazookas, even that I had a shotgun. Obviously they didn't believe her, and we looked at her with a deadpan face, and when they were going to stop her to verify if she was under the influence of some substance she jumped on me with the intention of kissing me, and the disgusting thing stuck out her tongue and almost got some of her saliva on me, but my salvation came. Angela gave her a strong kick that knocked her out instantly, and gave her a warm hug, and the police took that chick away and nothing was known about her. When he finished telling that, the brown-haired boy had a lost look and a muffled voice, to which Celestine tenderly caressed her head to encourage him. The rest of the trip was in another awkward silence, until the elf came up with another topic of conversation. Celestine, tell me Issei, when was your first big fight? To which the brown-haired boy began to think, since that also caught his attention and the other 2 girls also wanted to know. Issei, it was in a fight, which was against a cadre who wanted to start another war, just because he was dissatisfied with how the previous one ended, since according to him, the fallen angels would have won. Miku, you can't count them. Issei, if my memory serves me right, the first one was when. Flashback. In the backyard of Core Academy, you could see how the Gremory entourage gathered the 2 exorcists on their knees, and in front of them was Kokobile with a mocking smile. Kokobile, what happened? Rias Gremory, no, you weren't going to defeat me. Where did all that arrogance go? The redhead didn't say anything, she was very tired since she used all her magic in a single attack with her queen, but it didn't work. Izami, shut up you damn bastard, I won't let you destroy the city. At that point the fallen man approached her, to take her by the chin so that she could look him straight in her eyes. Kokobile, seeing how you look, you could be a good subordinate. Izami rot. The brunette then spat in his face, but the cadre didn't like it, so he made a spear of light appear and with it he planned to pierce his head, but his attack was blocked by Issei who, to everyone's surprise, was wielding Durandal without suffering any damage. Kokobile, how is it possible that a demon can use a sacred sword like Durandal? Issei, that doesn't matter to me, the only thing that matters to me is defeating you. Kokobile, you insolent bastard, I'll kill you. Issei, if your heart still beats you can still stand up to fight without holding back. The chestnut then launched into hand-to-hand combat against the fallen man, who, to the surprise of those watching, did not believe that the chestnut was fighting him. Kokobile, how is it possible that a brat is fighting me? But why do I care if it is noticeable that he has a hard time keeping up with me? The cadre was very confident, believing that he had won the fight, but he forgot one detail. Issei now? At that point Irina and Kiba were going to attack him from the sides, but Kokubile blocked them with his wings. Issei jumped. At that Izami joined Zenobia, who held one of Kiba's swords, and jumped on Issei with the intention of decapitating the cadre, who by reflex creates a magic circle to avoid the cut. Izami, it's not enough, I have to use all my strength, from the tips of my toes to my head. Kokubile, they will never defeat me. Izami/Zenobia, we have to do it. At that both girls began to scream while applying more force without noticing certain details. With Zenobia, some parts of her hair took on a green hole like her lock and expelled a faint white aura, while Izami's eyes turned green with the pupils slit while the temperature around her increased. Kokubile, impossible. That was the last thing he said before being decapitated, and the magic circle that was about to detonate was deactivated, thus avoiding another war. End of flashback. When the story was over, the girls were very surprised. They found it hard to believe. Miku, great. Elizabeth, amazing. Celestine, amazing. Then about 20 minutes later they found a good place to rest and wait for Issei's sister, who took 3 hours to arrive. Izami, hello brother, it's good to see you're okay. Issei, same here, it's good to see you again Roigun. Roigun, same here Issei, and I see you're accompanied. So the group of girls gathered to talk and get to know each other better, while Issei looked out at the sunset and took out his recorder. Issei, Day 2, today I met a girl who joined my trip to survive. After that we came across some kind of mutation which was difficult to knock down, but I managed it with my M60. Fortunately we were able to enter the forest. There we found an elf girl who turned out to be Queen Celestine. But when we were going down a dirt road we ran into a man who wanted our things. The funny thing is that he was responsible for the death of my girlfriend. Besides that, he had kidnapped a girl that we freed. The guy will not be a problem since I made the infected devour him. I'm not proud of what I did, but now I will not have to worry about him. I also discovered how all this started. In addition to that, I was able to meet my sister, who came accompanied by someone I trust. Now I am heading towards the sea to find a good place to survive for a while. End of recording. After finishing saying that, the brown-haired boy took off his helmet and mask, leaving his face and hair exposed, and wiped the sweat he had. Said action made the girls who were there blush, but the brown-haired boy was thinking about what to do tomorrow. They were still far from the coast, and it would possibly take them 1 to 2 days if they followed that path, but they had no other choice since the most direct paths must be blocked. So with that reflection he ended the day. Chapter 5. It was already night. The boys were in Issei's vehicle since thanks to its dark color it allows it to go unnoticed. Plus it had some hidden cameras that allow them to observe the surroundings safely. Those who stood guard were Issei, Izami and Roigun. At this moment it is 2:26 a.m. and it was Issei's turn to stand guard. They were 1-hour shifts so they could rest well. The brown-haired boy was staring at the screen where everything the cameras detected was seen, but in the other seat sits a certain albino. Elizabeth, hello? Issei, hello? Elizabeth, thanks for saving me from that guy. Issei, don't thank me, besides you haven't told me how that guy kidnapped you. Elizabeth, I was walking looking for a safe place, but I felt a strong blow to the head that left me unconscious. When I woke up I was already tied up and gagged. At that the albino began to hug her knees. That was a memory she would like to forget. Elizabeth, he told me that when night came we were going to have a lot of fun, just not to make too much noise. At this point the albino began to tremble because she was terrified by the idea of being raped, but she felt someone take her hand and saw that it was the brown-haired man, who calmed her down quite a bit. Elizabeth, then I felt him speed up the car and tell me how lucky I am. It seems I'll be able to get a better car and maybe get more girls to have fun with. Cheer up Hitch, you'll have company soon. But fortunately I found you guys, that's why I thank you. Issei, don't thank me, besides that guy and I had a strong resentment. Elizabeth, what happened? Issei, he was responsible for the death of my girlfriend and he almost left me disabled since he ran us over. Elizabeth, I see. Issei, you better rest since tomorrow we will be in constant movement and you will need to be energized. The albino girl didn't say anything else, so she settled into her place to sleep. The night seemed like it would pass without any inconvenience, but when it was 4 in the morning a helicopter could be heard flying low towards the city. That woke up everyone in the vehicle, although Issei placed a barrier so that they wouldn't be detected. Issei, it seems we will have a change of plans. When the sun was beginning to rise, everyone was already awake and preparing to continue on their way, although Azami and Roigun gave tactical clothing to the other girls. Now they were all ready, so the brown-haired boy put his vehicle away in his pocket to mention. Miku, why did you keep your vehicle, Issei? Issei, in the early morning I saw a helicopter flying low, and to avoid attracting attention it would be best to go on foot for a while, at least until we are a good distance away. The girls agreed and started walking. After an hour of walking, when they were taking a break to eat something, already with their energies recharged, they heard a car going in their direction making a lot of noise. But they saw how it stopped, and they could see how it was smoking from the engine and one of the tires was deflated. Murayama, Kates, Matsuda, Mathoyama and Abe got out of the car, who got out to see the problem, although the Hyoudou brothers saw the perfect moment to get revenge on those who bothered them at the academy. So, covering their faces, they came out of their hiding place and pointed their weapons at them. Issei, stop. Izami, hands up. The 5 boys were alarmed when they saw the men armed with rifles and they only had wooden swords and broomsticks. Murayama, please don't shoot. Kates, we were just trying to escape. Issei, and it was necessary for them to make so much fuss. Abe, I had told them to escape quietly, but they didn't listen to me. Before they could continue talking, the sound of a helicopter was heard. To the people below, do not try to make any strange movements, or we will be forced to open fire. Having no alternative, the group raised their hands. After a couple of minutes, they saw an army armored vehicle approaching. The curious thing is that it was not a Japanese vehicle, it was a foreign one. When he got close to them, he stopped, and a soldier approached from the rear. Please get in the vehicle, we will take you to a safe place. The boys followed the instructions, although the brown-haired boy did so reluctantly. He no longer wants a helicopter to shoot him. Once inside the vehicle, they began to move, although there was a deadly silence. The Hyoudou brothers looked seriously at those responsible for ruining their plans. Elizabeth and Miku were nervous about what could happen. Roigun remained silent, trying not to shoot the 2 perverts who were shamelessly looking at her breasts. Celestine was petting the cat to calm down. Murayama and Kates felt uncomfortable with the stars they were receiving and didn't say anything since those guys had firearms, and it was clear that they wouldn't hesitate to open fire. Matsuda and Mathoyama were more interested in trying to see the girls' breasts, but since they had bulletproof vests but couldn't see much. While Abe could feel the presences of the people in front of her, and knew who some of the presences belonged to, and that made her uneasy, and she just hoped that things wouldn't get any more complicated. Driver, looks like someone didn't make it. Military, why do you say that? Driver, we just passed by a car and next to it we saw the corpse of a man. Military, well, it's not our problem. Murayama, why do they say that kind of thing? Shouldn't they show a little respect for the dead? Issei, that guy doesn't deserve any respect? Military, did you know him? Issei, unfortunately for me, yes. Kates, you did that? Issei, I just shot him, the infected killed him. Murayama, you are a murderer, you should be imprisoned. Issei, that will not happen since in this new world only the strongest will prevail, and the strongest decides what to do with the weakest. Matsuda, that's not correct. Issei, in fact legally it is wrong, morally it is wrong, I personally like it. Mathoyama, you're crazy. Issei, I'm not crazy, just upset because of him. The plans I had to survive went to hell because of him. As always, he ruins everything. Kates, that's not true, in fact we don't even know each other. Izami, that's where they're wrong. At that, those in Issei's group uncovered their faces. Although Celestine hid her pointy ears with magic, the students of the Core Academy could not believe what they were seeing, although Abe moved a little further from where she was sitting. Matsuda, damn you Hyoudou, you're always surrounded by beautiful girls, why don't you just die already? His anger and envy turned into panic and fear when he saw how the brown-haired man pointed his gun at them and lit a laser pointer to show that he was aiming directly at their heads. Issei, if you're all telling me to die, why don't you try it yourself? I just don't plan on giving you the easy way out. Izami, that's why no girl pays attention to them since they only talk and do nothing. How pathetic, we would have no problem killing them right now. Mathoyama, if they do this, the military will arrest them. Issei, their orders are to rescue as many people as they can, but if by chance some of those people turned out to be infected, the normal thing would be to finish them off to avoid infecting more people. At that they turned to the soldier who remained silent. Military, certainly our orders are to rescue people, but it doesn't have to be all people, and depending on their capabilities it will be verified if they are helpful or just a hindrance that sooner or later will be discarded due to their incompetence. The four boys were surprised, they did not expect that, and they only felt uneasy about what could happen to them later. Military, so I ask you to calm down because if he shoots we will have to clean up the mess and I am not in the mood for that. At that the brown-haired boy lowered his weapon and went to sit in his place waiting for them to reach their objective quickly and request his and his group's retreat. As they were driving through the city center they stopped slowly. Military, what's going on? Driver, there is a person walking in front of us, it appears to be a girl and she is crying. Matsuda, in that case we will go for her. Military, are you sure? Mathoyama, of course. Both perverts had planned to get on good terms with the girl so that later, as a thank you, she would do perverted things for them. Issei, let them go, if they die they will be one less hindrance. The soldier sighed and opened the gate. Before the gate hit the ground the two perverts ran out, then the Hyoudou brothers shook their heads and together with the soldiers they stood on guard in case any infected appeared. With the two perverts they were slowly approaching that girl with a blush on their cheeks when they saw her in her underwear. Because they were looking at the woman's torso, they didn't notice the enormous claws she had on her hands, so the bald man was the first to approach. Matsuda, hey darling, do you need help? The only response he got was a few grunts. Matsuda, are you okay? The bald man made the mistake of touching her shoulder, causing the girl to turn around with a loud scream and lunge at the boy, who didn't have time to react and received a large cut on his torso that knocked him down. The boy felt like he was losing blood when he turned to see the person responsible for his wound. He saw how the infected person began to tear him apart with his claws, creating a large splash of blood. The other pervert was taking a few steps back, but before he started running he could hear someone growling. When he saw where those growls came from he went white with fear. Before he could start running, he was attacked by the infected person and, like his friend, they also began to tear him apart. The driver just shook his head and continued to take another route. Nothing could be done for those two perverted idiots who had gotten themselves into that situation. With the others, as soon as the screams began to be heard they closed the door and sat in their seats and remained silent for a while. Issei, assholes. Abe, why do you say that? Issei, they brought it on themselves by not thinking things through. Damn it, they didn't even take anything to defend themselves. That makes them real idiots. I hope that serves as a lesson to them. The world we knew no longer exists. In this new world the law of the strongest survives and the weakest dies applies. With that said, he said nothing more and they just hoped to reach their goal soon, without knowing what they would find later. Chapter 6. Somewhere in Spain, inside a castle, there was a man sitting watching on different screens everything that was happening around the world. Sadler, as I see it, it's time to activate phase 2 of my plan. The old man looked at his right hand, which had a strange ring on it that shone for a few moments. Back with Issei, the journey was calm, the occasional infected crossed the path, but usually they were crushed, everything was calm, but a strong impact that shook the vehicle started them. Everyone felt how the vehicle had leaned forward a little, to which the brown-haired boy immediately opened the door. Issei, let's go now. At that, everyone got out of the vehicle and began to walk quickly to get out of that place. But a large rock fell near them. When they looked to the side they saw a thank you approaching. Murayama, what is that thing? Issei, a damn mutant, who is also hard to kill. Miku, this is not possible. Issei, what's happening? Celestine, They are. Issei, what? Izami, there are 4 of those things. Issei, but what? Motherbuckers, where did so many of them come from? Abe, what do we do? The chestnut began to look around, noticing that there were some buildings nearby where they could take shelter. Issei, to the buildings. Military, are you sure? Issei, we could climb onto the roof of one to lose them. With that said, they began to run towards the buildings while shooting at the things. But because of the noise, they attracted more zombies who now ran faster than before and moved like flocks of birds. Issei, watch out for the jerk. Murayama, what jerk? His answer came from the horde. From it appeared an infected one who had a larger right arm. Everyone saw him charge forward. Everyone moved aside except one. Kates, help. The charger had rammed her and pushed her far away from the group. They could barely see how the infected man crashed into a wall and then slammed the girl's body repeatedly against the ground. Murayama, Kates. Issei, let's go, we can't do anything. Murayama, but. The brown-haired boy pushed her aside to prevent her from being crushed by a giant rock. The brown-haired girl could only watch as her best friend was brutally beaten by that infected person, and as some other zombies gathered in that place to devour her. They had already reached an alley so they could reach a fire escape and go up to a building, but for Issei this was more frustrating than worrying. Issei, holy shit, where do they come from? There aren't many people in Kwa. Izami, brother, calm down. Issei, buck it all, I'll explain everything to you later. Everyone saw how the brown-haired boy made a magic circle appear on the ground, from which he took out a rather large weapon. Issei, meet Lilith's favorite. With that said, the chestnut opened fire without holding back. Issei, eat lead, you motherbuckers. Everyone saw how the brown-haired boy literally pulverized the zombies with that weapon, and it was clear that the ammunition would not run out soon. Abe went crazy? Roigun, not yet. Issei, I stopped up. Izami, now yes. A little while further towards the chestnut tree he had already cleared the entire street, leaving only bloody pieces of meat. Izami, already? Something moved and the brown-haired boy shot it. Issei, I think so. Now they were able to climb onto the roof of a building. Luckily that alley was a dead end so they didn't have to worry about attacks from behind. Once they were up there and secured the ladder, they sat down to relax a bit. Murayama, now could you explain to us what happened a little while ago? Izami, I'll explain it to them. The brunette began to explain to them everything related to the supernatural, and what she knew about this epidemic, while Issei was a little away. Elizabeth, are you okay? Issei, yes, I just need to release some tension. Elizabeth, if you want I can help you. Issei, I don't think it's good, since I have the tension accumulated down here. The brown-haired boy was a little uncomfortable saying that. The albino looked down, and almost immediately his face turned a deep red from seeing a certain bulge in Issei's pants. Issei, could you leave me alone for a moment? Elizabeth, why yes. The albino girl left very sad. The brown-haired girl looked for where she could be a good place to do his business, until he saw a shed. Without hesitation he went in. When he was sure he was alone he unzipped his pants. But before doing anything some delicate and fine hands touched him. Issei, but what? Roigun, shhh, they'll find out if we make too much noise. Issei, but what are you doing here? Roigun, perhaps you forgot that I am a nurse. I know how to deal with these types of issues, but I will put it into practice with you. The brown-haired boy just let the pink-haired girl continue with her thing, while his sister finished explaining the situation. Izami, and that's all you need to know for now. Murayama, so all this was caused by a crazy old man. Izami, that's correct. Military, what the buck? Driver, what should we do now? We had directions to the base, but we no longer have a vehicle. Issei, I wouldn't say that. At that they turned to the brunette who was adjusting his pants, and the pink-haired girl was wiping her mouth. Issei, we have 3 vehicles to get out of this place. Miku, I thought we only had 2. Roigun, the other one is mine, It is not armored like Issei's or Izami's, since I am not very interested in that type of subject. Issei, we just need to know where we're going and I'll take you. The two soldiers saw each other and uncovered their faces. Military, you can call me Bill. Host, my name is Zoe. Issei, nice to meet you and welcome to this group. After saying that, the brown-haired man made his sister's vehicle appear. Zoe, and how will we get it down? Issei, with magic. Bill, magic? Issei, yes, I got tired of hiding my powers, now there are no rules, the only thing that matters is surviving and I am willing to do anything to protect those in my group, so if someone does not want to follow me, speak now or start leaving right now. Everyone looked at each other, and no one said anything. Issei, in that case, get up quickly so we can leave this damn city once and for all. Everyone began to enter the vehicle. Zoe stayed as co-pilot to tell him where to go. The brown-haired boy took the vehicle to the edge of the building. Issei, well, hold on, I'm not going to hold back. At that point the brown-haired boy floored it, while Roygun made a barrier appear that reached the ground and the brown-haired boy used it as a ramp and began to drive at high speed. The girls clung to their seats. Bill was the only one who looked calm. For his age he had already been through situations like this several times. Issei, where to? Zoe, head towards the highway. 2 miles after leaving town there's a turnoff that leads to the base. Issei, understood. The brown-haired man accelerated the vehicle to go faster. On the way the brown-haired man was running over any infected who crossed his path. Even a group of looters tried to seize his vehicle. But Izami and Bill shot them and the brown-haired man finished them off by crushing their cars. Murayama, why were they shot? Izami, just like my brother said, you have to be willing to do anything to survive. They tried to do the same. We were stronger and they were weaker. Issei, in this new world there are no longer laws, only one and that is the strongest survives and the weakest dies. That's how things are now. Miku, and what role do we play? Issei, I am aware that you do not know how to use a firearm. Do not worry. When we are in a safe place I will teach you how to shoot. Elizabeth, thank you for taking the trouble. Issei, you're welcome. The rest of the journey was relatively calm. When they were about to arrive they noticed a column of smoke in the distance, so they did not waste time and hurried to arrive. But all they saw were the remains of several people. It was clear that they suffered some kind of surprise attack but not just from infected people. They began to check in a group since separating was a bad idea. What caught their attention was that the phrase was written in several places. "To dying is to live." That phrase didn't make much sense to them, but they didn't have much to do. Zoe, I don't understand, this place was very safe, but it's only been 2 hours since we last communicated with those here, there's no way they fell that fast. Ha ha ha. Everyone pointed towards where the voice came from, but they only saw a recorder. Sadler, this is a message for whoever finds this work of art. The people of this place refused to accept our offer to be purified, so we had no choice but to eradicate them. But do not worry, we will soon look for you, and if you have a group. I hope that all of you accept our offer or we will be forced to eradicate you since our phrase says to die is to live. The recording stopped because the brown-haired boy shot him. Issei, that son of a hitch is still alive. Bill, do you know him? Issei, Osmond Sadler, a member of the Kaos Brigade, a religious extremist who believed himself to be a god, but was believed to have died when we destroyed one of his 2 main facilities. But it seems the bastard survived and started all this. Zoe, do you know where he might be? Issei, I know where his second base is. Izami, well, we have to prepare. Issei, normally I would tell them not to accompany me, but I know I'll need all the help I can get to finish that bastard and put an end to all this once and for all. Celestine, he caused my kingdom to fall, I am with you. Elizabeth, many people have died and if we don't stop it, more people will die. Miku, my friends probably died or turned into monsters because of what came in. Bill, my wife and children were on this basis, so I have no reason to refuse. Zoe, I saw my mother turn into one of those things and she killed my father. I won't be at peace until I see that poor bastard dead. Roygun, I will support you in everything you need, just like you did before. Izami, you are my brother, and you will always have my support. Murayama, I don't have many options and I don't want to become any of those things. Abe, I'd rather die being myself than a bloodthirsty monster. Issei, thanks for the support. The cat meowed, getting their attention, and when they saw where it was, they saw that it was on several boxes full of ammunition. Issei, I think that cat is American.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.